Hey, how's it going? My name is Alejandro Estrella. I am the band director at Mojave Middle School in Scottsdale School District. But we're here to talk about Creer by Randall Standridge, so let's get right to that point. This piece has a guitar part. Phenomenal. How often do we see a guitar part in contraband music? It's the first one I've ever seen, and I think it's great. Now, I do have some issues with it. Mr. Standridge, the composer, great keyboard player, great percussionist. Some of the guitar parts are a little bit questionable in my opinion. So I rewrote it, kind of help us as guitar players be able to play this a little bit more. Your teacher has a copy of the music that I rewrote for you guys. There's also tab in it if that's helpful for you. What I want to do right now is I want to play through the song so you guys can hear and see what I do, and then we're going to talk about it. So let's get right into the song. All right, so we listened. Great. I want to break down a few things for you guys. First thing I want to break down for you is the equipment. I am using a hollow body jazz guitar to play this. I am also using flat wound guitar strings. This gives me a very nice warm sound that I think is very important for a contraband piece. I think ideally probably the best type of guitar to use for this is going to be a nylon string guitar, but I didn't have one available to me, unfortunately. You can still use any type of electric guitar. You can still use a acoustic guitar if that's all you have. That's 100% okay. However, I would recommend that you are playing on the bridge pickup, which is going to be this pickup right here. Not so much on the neck pickup, which is going to be down here. We control the pickups with our switch. Depending on what type of guitar you have, you might have that switch in a different spot, but you might want to check out where the bridge pickup is for your guitar. Alright, so while editing this, I realized that I made a mistake. The neck pickup is up here. This is my neck pickup, and the bridge pickup is down here. Bridge, down, neck, up here. My guitar might be different on yours. Let's get back to it. So let me give you a few different examples here. If I play with the neck pickup engaged, which is on my guitar is the down position, I get a little bit of a bright sound in my opinion. Not the biggest full sound to me. Meanwhile, if I play in the neck position on my guitar, I'm gonna get a little bit of a bigger, fuller sound. It's a very subtle difference, but it is there. So I would recommend playing in that neck position if you're able to, and just finding out a way for you to get the warmest possible sound. Part of that could be playing with the tone knobs on your guitar. Maybe dial back on the tone knob to get a little bit of a fuller sound. On your guitar amplifier, maybe you roll down the treble a bit, boost the mids a little bit, roll down that bass a little bit. We don't want it to be too boomy. You know, we don't want to get in the way of the tuba players. So just kind of find a way to get a nice warm sound. A different thing that I did is I am playing with my fingers instead of with the pick. There is no problem with using a pick. You can absolutely play this with that pick. However, I like using my fingers because it's going to give me a little bit of a warmer sound. And again, it's a very subtle difference, but eventually when you're getting a little bit more detailed, these subtle differences are extremely important. Now, I'm playing with a finger style called the PIMA system, P-I-M-A. It's Spanish for pulgar, índice, medio, andular. It's probably the most famous and common finger style systems in the world. That's a topic for a separate video if you want to learn how to play finger style, but if you're using a pick, that's fine with me. Now, let's talk a little bit more about specifically what's happening in the music here. Before we continue, one quick side note. Be very wary of the sound I got in my guitar in the recording I gave you. I'm using my recording equipment and I play in a punk rock band, so my equipment is set up to really give a harsh attack at the beginning of notes, because that's kind of what we want in punk music. I left the settings on for that because getting them back to where I normally use them is a little complicated. So just be wary that we don't want that much of a punch to our sound, as you can maybe hear a little bit in the recording. Anytime I rest for a while and I come back in, my compressor, which is a recording equipment, is working overtime, and it's just punching that sound like if you listen to rock music, some of that is just going in there. So just be wary of that. We don't want to get that very harsh, articulated sound. We want that warm sound. Anyway, let's talk about the music. All right, so if we take a look at the beginning of the song, maybe even the first 4 measures, you see up on the top, I wrote some chord names down. Now, a lot of my rewriting, I kind of wrote bar chords in mind. So if you don't know bar chords, this is kind of what a lot of my rewrite is based on, and they're very common guitar chord shapes. That's something you might want to YouTube as well. We call these movable bar chords. If you look at the beginning of the song, you will see at the very, very top, it says 1/2 B and then the Roman numeral 3. That means half bar the 3rd fret. So if I go to the 3rd fret, I put my finger there and I'm covering the top 3 strings, the G string, B string, and the E string. That's a half bar. If I keep my fingers, if I keep that for index finger that we always half bar with, that is going to get me set up so I don't have to move all awkwardly. You'll notice throughout the song we have different half bars. In measure 6, we have a half bar. That's the half bar on the 5th fret. If I do these half bars effectively, I can let my notes ring out. Because if I'm not really barring some notes, if we're playing all in first position, we're gonna get very staccato notes of space. Which we don't really want that, right? We don't want... Doesn't sound as good. So we're looking for more like... And of course, we're still gonna get some space in our notes. We want to put as little space as possible. Now, if we continue and I kind of look at measure 12, that E flat chord that I wrote for you guys looks a little bit strange. Don't get super worried about it. It's just the same shape as a regular D major chord, but up a half step. So up on the 3rd fret, but it's just a D major chord shape. And I'm adding that 5th fret in to kind of fill it out a bit. If we look forward to measure 18, these are some pretty standard chord shapes. The first one at measure 18 is based off of the F minor chord, F minor bar chord. The next one is based off of the B flat 7 bar chord. If we continue, we get that E flat chord again. So we start looking back over here at measure 30. You see this F minor chord shape? It's the same shape as a D minor, but starting on the 4th fret. I kind of pluck that. I move my middle finger up 1 fret to get to that D flat. Then I move up to that B flat minor, just barring with my 1st finger, that 6th fret. Then that C7 is going to be based off of just a regular 7 chord bar chord. You have some single note stuff coming up here at measure 34. If you're using that Pima system, for any single note stuff, I recommend using a rest stroke. And that's going to be, instead of just plucking my string, that's going to be where I pluck and I let my finger rest on the next string. It's going to give it a little bit more of a pop. So instead of getting this sound, if I use rest strokes, I get... The articulation is a little bit more forward. It cuts through the sound a little bit more. And it's what a classical guitarist would probably do more here, where they're going to get a much forward sound. Let's continue talking about the song. Once we reach measure 58, this is the exact same thing we've been playing, but instead of being in the key of C minor, we're now in the key of D minor, and we're up a whole step. So we get this. Then we get a very common D chord shape up here that's happening at measure 59. Now, a part you might have trouble with is measure 63, where I'm asking you to half bar measure, or I'm asking you to half bar the 3rd fret. If I do that here at 63, I get reach out to the 5th fret, then with my pinky to the 6th fret, then I use that open string that I wrote in to get my hand set back up for 1st position to reach that D minor chord in time. And I land on that nice A7 chord. The song ends at 68 very similarly to how it started. We get a nice big chord here. I'm half barring the 5th fret, and I'm using my pinky and my 3rd finger to get those 7 frets. This song can be a little bit of a doozy, especially for a middle schooler, but I'm very confident that you're going to be able to do it. Plus, you have a phenomenal teacher. So I have no doubt in my mind that you guys are going to be going to festival and just blowing the judges away. If you do need more help, if you want some extra help, need have some more questions, my contact info is here. Both my school email and my personal quote-unquote business email. If you need questions with this song, if you have questions with jazz guitar specifically, if you have questions with rock music, I play a whole lot of rock songs. I did jazz band all throughout college. My actual major was classical guitar in college, so I've got quite a little bit of knowledge. So if you want a little bit of extra help, if you have some questions, feel free to drop me an email. You can ask your teacher to contact me as well, and I'll be happy to help you out. I hope this video was useful for you. Again, feel free to contact me, and I'll see you next time. Have a great rest of your day. Stay mighty.